Hello BSS, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here then just welcome. Hi, my name is Brenda. I do paranormal videos here on my channel, so if that is something that you are interested in, please consider subscribing down below and turn on your post notifications so you do not miss when I post another video like this one. Now with all of that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into today's video. Alright, hello everybody, happy Friday, happy weekend. I hope you guys are all doing really well. As you guys can see by today's title, I am doing another one of these haunted highways stories that I'm going to be telling you guys. So as I had said in the previous video, I wanted to do a different twist on the one that I had done of this series before in summertime. I think maybe a year or two ago. I did this for a little while just as a temporary thing for the summer, and since we're kind of getting to the point where summer is about to be over by the middle of September, I decided to do this series again, but with a little bit of a spin. As I said, instead of doing different states and just kind of reading off of what their known haunted highways are or their haunted roads, whatever, I would do stories from people who have experienced things on these highways and what that entails, just basically like what kind of things have happened on these highways to real people and the stories that they have to tell in regards to that. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be reading another one, and this one is a little bit on the shorter side, and it's from the website that I used last time. It's the yourghoststories.com. So hopefully you guys are okay with some of these being a little bit shorter, because it has been a little bit difficult to find stories that are longer, because a lot of these people have a pretty short and sweet experience, if you will, and there's not a lot of details to it other than it being something possibly paranormal, and then having them be scared of that, and then that's kind of the whole thing that happens. So this one is titled Man on the Highway, and it is written by the user Now a Believer. And it even tells you on here, it says the author is a middle-aged adult, and the date that they wrote this, actually it's been a long time. It says July 5th 2011, which is around summertime, so maybe this happened around then. This already has a good intro to it. It says, "This event took all of the skepticism out of me. Here is what occurred." I'm already cooked. Let's see what could have happened. I love reading these kinds of stories because, as you guys know, I've told you, sorry, quick interruption before I get into the story. Don't get mad at me. But as you guys have heard me say on this channel before, I have always loved going on road trips when I was little, and I loved getting the bejesus scared out of me when I was on those road trips. Anytime that it would get dark outside, I would pull out my little scary stories to read in the dark book, and I would read them to my siblings. At first it was just me and my sister, and then my little brother as well, and we would all sit in the back of our van. When my parents would build a little bed for us, we would all lay on our stomachs. I would have the book, I'd be in the middle with each of them on my side, and we would just be looking at the road through the back window of the van and seeing, all the trees and the mountains pass by. You could see the stars sometimes, or a spooky looking moon, something along those lines. And I was all ready for the spooky vibes. I was getting into it. I was like, okay, we're gonna read this story first. And I would do the whole thing with those books because it would tell you when to dramatically say something loudly and scare the people that you're reading it to, and I loved that so much. So there has always been something that intrigues me about going on road trips or driving on roads in the middle of the night, and then knowing that there are maybe paranormal ties to that road, maybe from somebody who passed away there, or maybe an urban legend about a creature or something that people have witnessed on this road a lot. Things like that. Give it to me now, Rachel. I love that kind of stuff. So that's why I was really excited to get back onto this subject on my channel, because it's pretty fun, and I want to know if you guys are enjoying these as well. So please leave me a comment. Let me know if you like these kinds of stories or not. Anyway, let's go on into it. And this is also takes place in Arkansas, by the way. This event took all of the skepticism out of me. Here is what occurred. This happened back in 1993. I was driving home with my girlfriend after a date to the movies. It was late on a cold, clear January night. There were no clouds, there was no fog. It was about 12:30 in the morning. As we approached the hill, I pulled into the slow lane, and just as I merged, there was a man in the middle of my lane. He was wearing a white t-shirt, blue jeans, tennis shoes, and a red baseball hat. He had his head down and was walking briskly with his hands in his pockets. When I say he was in the middle of my lane, I mean he was no more than 20 or 30 feet from the middle of my hood. I was traveling about 45 miles per hour and was about to hit this man. Horrifying. Before I could react and hit my brakes, my girlfriend screamed. I shut my eyes, broke hard, and entered into a skid. She kept screaming and became hysterical. I felt shivers and chills all through my body. Pure terror. When we came to a stop in the middle of the highway, it was bitter cold inside the compartment of the car. We could see our breath, and the windows were covered with condensation on the inside. Granted, it was about 25 degrees outside, but we had been driving for about a half an hour, and the heater had it nice and toasty in the car. The battery was drained and the lights were dimmed, and the car would not start for a couple of minutes. When it did, we sped off and drove as fast as we could to our home. My girlfriend was so hysterical she could not speak. When she was able to speak again, she told me and her pastor, my family and her family, that we did indeed hit the man, but that he walked straight through the car. That night, we returned to the spot of the incident, with reinforcements, of course, to make sure that we had not killed anyone. This is giving I Know What You Did Last Summer, because they were like, they hit somebody, they're like, okay, let's drive off. And then come the next day and see if they're still there. Oh, no, actually they didn't do that in the movie. I forgot, it's been a long time. But anyway, I just thought that was funny. Let me go back. Okay, where was I? All was well, and we returned home to try and get some sleep. Wait, so they didn't return the next day? Did I read that wrong? Let's see. Maybe they came back that same night, and then they went back home and they went to sleep. Okay. This occurred when I was in college, and I could not talk about this until recently. I am 40 years old now, and this is as fresh in my memory as if it happened last night, not 18 years ago. I know this sounds like stories you see on TV from other people telling their stories, but it happened. I know what I saw, felt, and experienced that night. It made me a believer in the spirit world, and I am still dealing with what was that to this day. When I bump into my old girlfriend now, this topic comes up each time. It has profoundly affected her life as well. Oh my god, they're not even together anymore. That's so sad. But honestly, small town, if you're still running into her and stuff, like out and about in town. I guess he never moved away either. It doesn't look like. If he's still running into her, maybe they still live in the same place that they grew up in, which is kind of cool and cute, and fun that they still like keep in touch whenever they do run into each other, or don't just like ignore each other. I guess people bond when things like this happen, right? Since this incident, I have heard of this happening in this location to 2 other people, and they have had the exact same experience. It is a mystery who or what this is, as there is no physical description of this person or story of an accident that I can find to coincide with a person fitting this description. The top of this hill is a blind hill on a curve, and there have been several people killed there in auto accidents over the years. That is all I have been able to learn. I have had a couple of other experiences since that time, but not as up close and personal as this. I have to drive this stretch of highway each to and from work. Not a trip goes by that I don't remember this encounter. I guess I should feel lucky that this entity did not attach and follow one of us home. That is honestly the best thing to take from this, because I feel like I would have been paranoid from then on to think about what this spirit was, and I'm like, am I gonna see him every time that I drive past there? Like, is he gonna follow me? Am I gonna be haunted by this? Because this is like the most modern sounding ghost story that I have heard, because usually it's some lady wearing a white gown that looks like she's from an old-timey Victorian era or something like that. This guy was in blue jeans and like, what was he wearing? Like a t-shirt and a baseball hat. Like, that's probably like one of the most modern descriptions that I've heard in a while. It's not the only one, obviously, but usually it's something like that. It's like somebody that looks old-timey, or like a hitchhiker that has like Western look or something. That's what I've heard from most of the haunted highways stories that I've read in the past, like urban legends from those highways. It's usually something like that. So it's kind of interesting for this spirit to look like that. And then I was also going to say that I wonder if he saw it, if he saw the ghost, because he says that this turned him into a believer, but it seems to me like he didn't actually see the ghost like go through their car, because he said that he closed his eyes and he stepped on the brakes really hard, and then they ended up skidding on that road. And luckily there was nobody else on that road either, because it was in the middle of the night. I'm guessing it was more deserted than usual. And if it's one of those hills where you don't see the top of it until you get up the hill, and it's also on a curve, I could imagine there have for sure been a lot of accidents because of that. Once, like, if somebody doesn't see the curve coming up, or they don't turn into the curve fast enough, I can imagine that could be very, very dangerous, especially if somebody's trying to walk on the side of the road for whatever reason. If they're like stranded out in the road, they have to go up the hill or something. That could have possibly happened to this person, because he was seen in the middle of the road as an apparition, like that way. Maybe that's how it happened. Maybe he got run over on accident by a car, just like they ended up hitting the apparition of it. That's probably how it happened. He's just kind of living in a loop or something. But also very interesting that he, to this day, because it seems like he has been living there in the same area the rest of his life and never saw it again. Like, that's so crazy. And neither has his ex-girlfriend. Maybe she avoids that road completely. Honestly, I probably would. I'd be like, I need to find a different way to get to work or to my house or whatever. But this guy seems to still have to use that same road to get to and from work. And that would honestly traumatize me forever. I would just be waiting for the moment that it's going to happen again. I would be like on edge the entire time that I'm driving along that road. But anyway, this one was a really good one. I would love to know if they ever found anything else. Let me see if there's anything on here. Oh, somebody in the comments actually said, can you please give me a location and an email for you? I have had a similar experience in Arkansas, May 3rd, 1991, and I am looking for information on it. That would be so cool. That'd be so cool to see if he had anything to say about that. Oh, and then he also made a clarification, just because I thought it was like crazy that they just drove off and they were like, bye, I don't know what that was. Like, they didn't even confirm whether it was a real person or not. They literally just dipped. But he said, guys, thanks for all the comments. Let me clarify that I did get out and check. My car would not start and we were scared, but we got out anyway. There was nothing. I was 2 miles from my house, so we were back within 5 to 10 minutes to take a second look. I was with my parents. I was scared shitless. As for time/conditions of the other sightings, I don't know. I think one of them was around October and the other person has since passed away, so I can't really find out. Cell phones really were not available and there was no service where we lived anyway. Remember, 15-pound bag phones. It was in those days. And my house was closer than the nearest payphone. I think we went above and beyond to the call of duty as far as checking to make sure someone was not hurt. Anyway, thanks for reading my story and all of the positive feedback. I have had a couple of other experiences that I will share when I have more time to write. And then I think the rest of the comments on here just seem to be people kind of nitpicking at his story and being like, okay, well, you said this, but that doesn't really make sense, and like things like that. But a lot of people who deemed this to be a pretty good scary story, and he did not share the location of said highway. I think maybe for privacy reasons, I don't really know, but he doesn't say. Maybe he did email that person that asked for his information because he has also experienced something like this. I would love to know what that was, but there's no other comments on it. But I would like to see if there's anything else that he has posted on here. Let me actually look at his other stories. Yeah, it doesn't really look like he has another, like a follow-up on that story, but either way, it was a pretty good one. And as I said, the only two things that I really want to know is what road on Arkansas, like in Arkansas it was, or like what highway, and then also if he actually saw when they hit this apparition or not, because as I said he closed his eyes, but it also said that he became a believer. I don't know if it was just because of his girlfriend's statement on it, the fact that she said that she saw them hit this guy, and that's why she like started screaming and was just hysterical. It was because she actually saw it happen, and then thinking that this was a real person. Obviously, like, imagine thinking, oh my god, we killed somebody, and then that being like your first thing that registers in your head. And then instead of seeing this person like fly off to the side or something, you see them like pass through the entire car like a ghost, like you do in movies. I would have been so baffled. I would have been on the floor sobbing, like, what the heck did I just see? And then the other part of me, my brain would have been like, that was not real. I don't know what the heck that was not real. You imagined it, you were scared. And of course I would have gone out to check if I did hit somebody and that it wasn't just like a hallucination or my imagination or something. Because the other thing that I would consider is the fact that it was the middle of the night and maybe they were tired, but it's not very often that two people have the exact same hallucination, you know, because they both saw the man. That was a given fact. They both saw him, and the only thing that was different was that the driver closed his eyes and the girlfriend actually saw it happen. That's the only two things that they were not on the same page about, but they both were sure that somebody was on the road, and that's why they both freaked out. And then the other thing with like the battery dying on the car could have also happened from the energy. If this was a ghost, maybe there was some kind of effect to the engine from like the apparition passing through it. Maybe he sucked out the entire energy out of the battery of the car. I don't know, but that was such a fun story. I really enjoyed that one. As I said, I'm such a fiend for these kinds of stories. So much fun. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for the story for today's Haunted Highway summer series with a twist. I hope you guys enjoyed that story. Let me know in the comments what you thought about it and what your theories are, if you have any. I would love to hear them, and I always appreciate you guys leaving me a comment down below. It really does make my day. And with that comment, today's comment shout out goes to this person right here. Thank you so much for leaving a nice comment. As always, I really do appreciate it. And also leave a little popcorn bucket emoji, because I think they were coming back from a date from the movies. That way I know who stayed all the way to the end of the video, and I know who my real ones are. And me and you are besties, BFFs. Okay, I'm done. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to stay safe and be kind. Bye.